All right, I didn't write anything down. Well, I did, but then I stopped. Um, wow. Okay. Okay, so I always talked about giving my testimony, but I was always high whenever I talked about giving my testimony. So I would always tell people, one day I'm going to get straight and I'm going to tell my story, and maybe somebody will hear it and understand where I'm coming from. And they would always say, yeah, all right, that'll be the day. So guess what? Today's the day. uh, okay. I'm from McAllister, Oklahoma. I was born, had three sisters, a stepsister and a stepbrother. Me and my baby sister, what a surprise. Me and my baby sister were the only ones that got on drugs. And we partied together, you name it. Okay, I'll start from the beginning. I'm really nervous, y'all. Okay, let's see. I had a normal childhood. I had a good childhood, very good. I had a good mom, good dad. Nothing bad ever happened to me. I was in dance. Got to, had the soccer mom that baked cookies. Did everything. Went to the school. I was 13, I think, whenever I first took a drink of liquor. And I started partying. I partied because I like to party. I know a lot of you, you don't have to have something bad happen to you to get into drugs. You don't. I like to party, and I was good at it. I got kicked out of church camp once for sneaking out to meet some boys to get drunk with them, and just continued. Let's see. I was 15. We moved to Stigler. I thought it was the end of the world coming from McAllister to Stigler. I didn't like it at all. Came from McAllister High School to Stigler High School. Needless to say, I met my first husband when I was 15. And back then, Stigler partied, y'all. Stigler had a lot of parties. Every night, school, no school, there was a party. And I took full advantage of that. And I was good at hiding it from my parents. So I used to ride the bus from down Fish Creek Road. I'd ride the bus to town, get off at the cell barn, and spend the day with my boyfriend. And never call into school or anything. I'd get back on the bus whenever it come through to go home. Don't ask me why they didn't report me. They didn't count me absent or anything. So I ended up getting pregnant. 15, I'm pregnant. I don't want to quit school. I just want to live with my boyfriend. And Mom and Dad said no. They said, no, you're not going to just get, So anyway, I had a shotgun wedding. I had to get married at 15. I turned 16 a week later. The day after I got married, my husband, Ben, his mom and boyfriend were there to take us. We moved to Kiefer the next day. I didn't tell my mom. She showed up the next day after marrying off her little girl, and I was leaving. So we had a pretty good marriage to start off with. I had tried other drugs and at some point, let's see, I had gotten my tongue pierced. Okay, this is where it all went bad. I couldn't eat. I'd spent $65 on getting my tongue pierced, and my husband was like, just take it out. I'm like, no. So you can gripe at me for spending $65? No. So he's like, okay, we'll just do a little bitty line of this morphine pill. That's all it took. That's all it took. From then on out, I was addicted to opiates. And, this was back in the 90s. So, like the late 90s, so you could go to a doctor pretty much anywhere and get a script. So I had a script. He had a script. I got white bars. You know, I was hooked up. I worked. I led a good life. I managed all of this drug use. I played it off and I did a good job. If I got up and I didn't have my pills, I would go to a hospital and get some pills. I didn't go without until he started locking them up and, trying to take them from me. But he put them in a gun safe. So I would get a screwdriver when he passed out, and I would take the screws out, drop that down, and I would get my pills. And I'd get enough to make sure that if he locked them up, I had pills. So, he dealt drugs. He did. But I didn't. I always worked. So my mouth's really dry, y'all. So I made sure that I had my pills. My kids seen a lot. We started doing dope. I've done a lot of bad things that I regret doing, I'm ashamed of. Pulled a gun on a little girl that was delivering the paper because I thought it was the Mexican mafia. I dropped a gun through my pajamas at the register in a convenience store. I have passed out in drive-through, like at the Whataburger drive-through. I have passed out putting a cheesecake in the oven, had my kids catch me. I have passed out in my food at restaurants. It's a wonder I didn't kill someone driving. But it was my prescription, it was my medication, so it was okay. And I always knew that I would quit one day. I just didn't know how. I went from one thing to another because I was always looking to fill that hole. I would go to church sometimes, but I never had a church that I went to and would stay going, I would get high sometimes and go to church the next day, high, still feeling guilty. But, it's easier just to not go and keep getting high. I have 2 grown kids. I have a 16-year-old. My 2 grown kids, I have gotten high with them before. And it's not a good thing. My ex, whenever I finally left my husband, my first husband, it was a day that he was beating on me. I'm sure it was over pills or something, I don't know. It had been getting bad for a long time, so I grabbed my purse and I left. The day I left, I remember telling him that I hated him and a few other choice words, But I left and never looked back. A few months later, I found out I was pregnant. I was strung out on everything I could get my hands on, and found out I was pregnant. About the time, I had went back to his house to try to get some of my things, and he put hands on me, and I don't remember this, but I had beat him with his walker. He had broken his leg, and so I guess we got into a fight, and I took the walker that, and all of this is kind of blurry from the time that, I got hooked on opiates to the time that I got off of the opiates. But then I was on dope, so it's crazy that I'm here today, because I feel like I could have been gone so many times. Okay, let me pick up where I left off. Whenever I left my first husband, I thought I hated him. Found out I was pregnant. And one day I went, I was trying to find my 2 older kids. So I called my ex-brother-in-law, and I was like, well, hey, is Jason there? And some girl answered, and she said, no, he's at the hospital with his brother. I said, no, his brother's in jail. My ex had went to jail. They raided him, and he had went to jail. And I said, no, he's in jail. They said, no, he's at the hospital. He's getting his legs cut off today. I'm like, legs cut off? What do you mean? So my ex was in jail, and they beat him. They beat him, the jailers, and they tortured him. They did some horrible, horrible things to him. So here I am, I'm not even divorced. I had been with this man for 20 years, ever since I was 15 years old. I thought I hated him, but I didn't hate him. I just couldn't be married to him anymore. So he's on life support. They cut his legs off, and he pulls through. I've got a brand new baby. He pulls through, and nobody's taking care of him. He's trying to take care of himself. No legs. The man that, the boy that I married whenever I was 15, so I try to take care of him the best that I can. But I can't stand to be around him because he's, I divorced him. We got a divorce, and I can't stand to be around this man, but I love him, so I want to make sure he's safe. So, because he was on drugs too, and he had nobody there helping him. These women were in and out of his life because of the pills. He was getting plenty of pills. I'm finally off the pills because I'm pregnant. And anyway, I'm going through drug court because I beat him up with this walker. I'm pregnant, trying to take care of him. He's got a restraining order on me. And I'm still trying to do all of this because nobody else is doing it for him. So, long story short, he will not stop doing what he's doing. He's, slinging drugs, doing this, doing that. I'm just trying to get high whenever I can and take care of him and take care of my kids. And he ends up going to prison like I knew he would. No legs, in prison. What am I to do? I got to try to get a ride out to his house. He's got a nice house, by the way, because he sued the jailers. He sued the city of Creek County and got a lot of money. But he still won't get clean. He won't take care of himself. And now he's in prison, leaving me to take care of his mess that he's got. The cops, they busted his door down. They went through everything. And he's kind of out in the country, so I got to go try to shut up his house the best that I can so that nobody comes and steals all of his stuff and he don't go to prison and all of that stuff just vanish, which the people he had been hanging out with, they were coming. There wasn't much I could do because I'm still strung out. And I get a phone call one day, and it's him in prison, and that was the last time I ever spoke to him because I knew, for some reason, I knew that he was going to be dead, and I would never talk to him again. So 2 months later, I got a phone call. He died. He had a heart attack in prison, and what am I to do? I couldn't do nothing for him, but he always wanted me to be straight. He always wanted me to get better. So I did. A couple months later, I left. I left with 2 suitcases and my daughter, and we moved to my mom's in Kiowa. While we were in Kiowa, I don't know how many of y'all can stay with your mother for a couple of days, but I was with my mom, and 2 days later, I called my sister, and I was like, hey, you've got to come and get me. You got to come and get me. I can't do this. Make up something. Just come and get me. And so here I am, cold turkey, no more dope. But then I had been on the couch for so long that I remember trying to walk to the store, and my daughter was like, "Come on, Mom, you can do it, you can do it." I'm like, "I can't do it. I can't walk around the block. I cannot do this." So where did I get a job? At Shelley's Cafe. Yeah, so I'm the buffet cook at Shelley's Cafe. I got to Stigler June 25th. By July 23rd, I had the job. By August, and that's my daughter's birthday, by August 3rd, I had a house. All by myself, no help from anyone. But, you know, that emptiness, that feeling, I was straight. I had to deal with all my feelings and tiredness and aches and pains, and I wasn't, so I went to the liquor store and got me a bottle. So, yeah, it worked. I felt better. Thank goodness I didn't go driving around and kill somebody, but then, okay, so COVID hit. The pandemic was pretty hard, and I wasn't getting no hours at Shelley's because, the restaurant business. So then I get online, get me one of them dating apps. And I'm like, man, there's a lot of weirdos on here. I don't know if I'm that lonely. So then I met this big, tall Mexican guy. And so I paid my ex-son-in-law to go pick him up. And so we went and picked him up from Tahlequah. He came and spent the weekend with me. And it was good. It was good. And I thought we were going to get all on lockdown and we were going to be stuck in our houses, And I was like, hey, do you have to go back? So we took him back. And then I think it was a week later, he called and we were talking. And I was like, do you want to just move in? We didn't even know each other. I was like, do you want to just move in? He's like, sure. Because I thought he was going to have to go back to California if he didn't find a place. And, the place he was at wasn't very good. And so we moved in. We knew each other for 1 week. I moved in an active alcoholic. And I was heavily drinking it myself, So we matched good at first. But I don't know. I think I got a pretty good temper whenever I start drinking, because I don't know how many times I would wake up to the house being trashed, where I just started throwing stuff, dumping tables. I mean, I feel bad that I did that, but that's what happened. He tried locking me out of my room, so I'm banging on the door, and our bedroom has a door on the outside. So I ran around the house and went to the other door, and whenever I started banging on it like I was doing that bedroom door, my arm went through. I got 13 staples and an ambulance ride to Tulsa. And he never even knew I was gone, I don't think, at first. But I threw him in jail once because he kicked a trash can. He kicked the trash can, and I was mad, and I was like, man, ain't nobody gonna raise Cain around here unless it's me. So I got a restraining order, and then I was like at court thinking, man, this is so embarrassing. I was so ashamed of myself, I was like, dang, what did I do? This man is going to get out of jail. I've got a restraining order on him, and he has no place left to go. Here, I moved him here, and now he has. What's he going to do? What is he going to do when he comes walking down that road? And so I snuck him in. I snuck him in and got the restraining order dropped, and I mean, a good 2 weeks. It took us a long time, but we did it. My sister, I mean, we always we knew we were going to quit drinking. It's just a matter of how and when and what bad was going to happen before we did it. My sister, she was in a horrible fire. My sister and partner in crime, my best friend, she was in a fire in McAllister, and she burned with her boyfriend. And so that made me drink more. I drank more and more and more. I drank to the point where, I mean, we would get up in the mornings and drink, but I had to go to work at 4. So I was lucky to get in bed by 10, pass out, and maybe hide a beer so I could drink it in the morning to feel a little better before I went to work, if I could find it. But, you know, it's just, it was a never-ending thing. I was always looking for something, and I would always cry and say, God, why? Why are we here, God? Why are we here? Why? I mean, to just get up and do it again, get up and do it every single day. You know, I woke up one day and I woke up one day and I had rotten teeth. Where did this come from? I woke up one day and I had wrinkles. Where did this come from? You know, it sneaks up on you. This life is precious. I used to hate getting old. Every year I would, you know, I'm getting old. I lost my sister. Thank God that I'm alive today. Thank God that God, you know, pushed me to do better. Thank God that He didn't let me die. Thank God that He brought me my husband. Thank God that he didn't die. Thank God that the day he had a seizure one day, and I just remember crying. I mean, we had been coming to church. We had been coming to church a couple of months, but we would leave here and we would go drink. We would come to church and then go home and drink, you know, and it was just exhausting. It's exhausting to try to hide stuff. It's exhausting trying to be better. But now that we've got God in our lives, we talk to people that we've never talked to before. He has a relationship with his dad. I have the best husband in the world. He works hard every day for us. He puts up with a lot, and I put up with a lot from him. But we do it together. And next month will be a year that I haven't had anything. And I thank God every day that I have this church. I am so thankful to be here. I'm so thankful for y'all. Hadley? Where's Hadley? I'm ready. Jackson had to leave. Well, they can play it up there then. I think I cut it short, but...